what to do with individual stocks. So let's bring on board the ace stock picker himself, Porinju Veliyath, the MD and Portfolio Manager at Equity Intelligence India. Porinju, hi, good morning. Always great to chat with you. And what a strong ride it has been, Porinju, of late for the broader markets. What is your own sense? Is money to be made in individual stocks as always? Because, you know, like we were chatting with our earlier expert, he's saying valuations are getting a little bit toppish. It's a little uncertain time to tread with caution. But do you believe it's not the index, but always the individual stocks which are going to continue to make money for shareholders?
Good morning, Aisha. I think it's a very valid point our earlier person also was talking about, you see, there is no doubt that India continues to be a stock pickers market. I would call it a stock pickers paradise instead. That's a kind of opportunities in India. Especially when you look back, the way multi-baggers are made in the last 5 years. But I feel of late, the Kabali stocks in India is really coming down. The number of the opportunities. Kabali stocks, I mean, the multi-baggers. There are when you look back in 2011, 12, 13 kind of years, I could see companies which can surely be, going 10 times, 20 times, and some of them 30 and 40 times. And a lot of them, hundreds of stocks, have performed that way already. But there are still multi-baggers. But at the same time, that is declining. That's getting exhausted. A lot of people are in search of, good stocks and, value stocks among the small caps and mid caps in the last maybe many months, few years. So that is making that space, multi-bagger, when it's in the short term to medium term multi-baggers. There are still multi-baggers, but investors should focus now on decent compounders going forward. That is where you can, really create wealth. So the multi-bagger era, in general, I'm telling you, it's over. Now it's a time for compounders. But this compounding is ultimately creating multi-baggers over a period of time. But Indian investors are spoiled so much, A multi-bagger means you make a 2x or 3x in a short period, 6 months to 1 year or 2 years. So that is definitely a challenging kind of activity is going to be. But India continues to be a stock picker's paradise.
And Porinju, at this point of time, you're saying instead of hunting for multi-bagger opportunities, good morning of course, you're talking about staying put with quality. There's some interesting anecdotes that you've supplied as well about Kotak, Deutsche Bank and a few others. Yeah.
Now, the quality doesn't mean, you can find a bad quality which is getting transformed into the quality league. That is where, again, you make big money. And India, fortunately, we have large number of such companies, the mid-cap and small-cap segment, where, as we always used to discuss, the turnarounds happening in various aspects of the business. And in most cases, the attitude of the promoter is changing. That is how some of these so-called penny stocks coming to a quality league, and they become multi-baggers, and they change the space where they belong to. That is why we have many penny caps became small caps, and many small caps already became mid caps, and many of the mid caps is getting into the large cap league. So that transformation, it is very special to India. It's very special to India considering the number of stocks getting into that kind of a league. And see, smart investors are minting money in this country. Unfortunately, it is not getting widespread among larger, millions and the crores of investors in India, potential investors. I strongly believe, Neeraj, we always used to talk about domestic potential of fund flow into the market. Now there are clear symptoms that domestic money is going to rule the markets in the coming years. FIS may or may not invest. It is up to them whether to take advantage of Indian opportunity. But I'm very confident, the kind of things happening in the market like SIPs. It's changing the game. I'm telling you, today people are not taking it seriously, looking at maybe 1,000, 1,500 crores monthly collection under SIP. See, SIP, the most important part is it is going to be stable kind of a growth. And that can stabilize the too much volatile market in India. We always had that problem of depth in the markets. This SIPs will be the game changer. This 1,500 crores can go to 3,000 and 4,000 crores very soon per month collection. And who knows, it can go to 20 and 30,000 crores in the next 2-3 years time. Every month collection I'm talking about. And Indian economy, our demographic and our middle class, structure is most suitable for SIP investment. I am very confident about that part of, stock market. The fund flow coming potential into the market, and the fundamentals. Of course, we have a lot of bright spots, lot of things to look forward. Unlike most other countries in the world today, and most other economies in the world today.
Yes, indeed. And Porinju, we've been running tweet your queries to Porinju, ask Porinju, and we've been getting a slew of viewer queries as well for you, and that is something that our viewers are looking forward to. So let's quickly take up some of their queries, and I'm going to pick up the first one on the sugar sector. Considering, Porinju, you start of the year identified this sector, and this has really made money for viewers. So Roditi Singh writes in saying that what's your view on the sugar sector now after the gains that the sector's already seen? What would your advice be to her, Porinju?
Aisha, when a sector is so very hot and it is in too much fancy, then everybody start querying on the sector. Actually, when things are bad, one should make queries. Now, see, many smart investors, not only me, many smart investors in this country, they identified sugar sector 1 year ago and 1.5 years ago at the right time, at the inflection point, made huge money. Many of them, I remember I was picking Dwarga sugar at 25-30 rupees. It has gone 10 times in 1.5 years. So that is how many of these sugar stocks have performed. Again, don't forget this is a cyclic industry, and I think it's already well fancied. So it is most of the good things happening in the industry is priced in, and some of them may be a bit overpriced. I'm not telling any individual stocks. So this is time. Investors should have a conservative look at sugar sector at this point of time.
Porinju, you will stay invested? You think the cycle still has some legs to go?
There could be some more space. I normally don't wait for the peak, because peak and bottoms happen accidentally or by luck. So when things are, when I find something, the value is 100 rupees today, it's available at 20 rupees. So it is called a potential 5-bagger. So 20 rupees you buy, normally you don't wait for 100 rupees. You may start exiting at 70, 80 kind of prices. DCM Shriram Limited, one stock we are still holding.
DCM Shriram it is from Porinju's end right now. That is that one stock that he's still bullish on. The other one, and there are some multiple queries here, Porinju, on this one. I'm choosing the one from Alok Nangalia. He is asking you to provide your inputs on future consumer enterprises for a long-term perspective.
Yeah, this stock, Neeraj, if you remember, one of our big picture stocks. We talked almost a year ago. Actually, the stock has doubled since I have been buying the stock under PMS again. It is now at around nearly 4,000 crores market cap. This is a futuristic business, and it's a very, one of perhaps the only solid balance sheet company in the group. And I like, their business model, the food parks and the food processing, packing, grading, and so which is all in the infancy in this country, and ultimately selling through their own network like Nilgiris, etc. And it's a well integrated agri-rural company, not rural, it is in the cities also. So it is one of the very good business model, and which has a potential to be multi-bagger over a period of time. See, the stock used to be at 5 rupees 2.5, 3 years ago. Then it became 10 at 10 rupees. I was really liking this company. I had even tweeted at around 10 rupees. And I think we discussed it at 14, 15 rupees and even at 20 rupees. Now I think it's around 21, 22 rupees. See, there is no hurry these are not stocks for traders to make any short-term gains at this point of time. These are the stocks now one can make the earlier compounding. This is one of the very good stock for a compounding returns. It can even give you 25, 30% kind of compounded return if you see next 5 to 10 years time.
So Porinju, what are those other interesting pockets that you are researching or already listening in on? Anything that's looking good with the current valuations for a buy?
I was just looking at, the railway stocks. Normally people buy this stock during the time of railway budgets, a lot of fancy created, some operators will be looking it up. And the railway budget was fabulous this time, the way they are given a visibility for the future. the future expenditure and future expansions. And it's very impressive. And then mostly traders are buying into this kind of stocks, and then they start selling. Now they have come down to 1 year low kind of levels. So maybe when these stocks are not fancied, there are many stocks. I don't want to really tell individual names. Still, I think there are Titago Wagons and Texmac Royal kind of many companies. So investors, when there is so much money spent by the government in the railway, even with private participation, there will be some companies which are supplying into the infra of this segment. They will be getting huge orders going forward, and they can create huge wealth. Some of these companies are debt-free and clean companies, well-managed ones. They are ready to take advantage of the future. Maybe the current numbers are not attractive, because in this kind of a business, when you expect a great future, the numbers may be not reflecting today. So you should have the insights into the future, how these companies are going to be performing in numbers after 1 year, 2 years, and 3 years. So from that perspective, I think some of them are underpriced.
Okay. So do your homework is what Porinju is saying, but railways is probably one sector that could give you returns if you choose the right stock. Porinju, what else? What theme looks good for somebody to make an investment in from a 2-year perspective? I don't want a stock recommendation, but where railways is one theme, what else is looking attractive?
Another small segment again, Neeraj, I was again looking, some of the old generation private banks. Now, banking had a very too much volatile times in the last couple of years. Now, there is a lot of apprehension still about the public sector banks, which even I do have. I do not understand that well, to predict something. But I think now the Federal Bank, South Indian Bank, they are in Kerala, in my native place. So some of them looks underpriced. Because if you see how these companies over the last many decades have been operating in this country, and they've created huge infrastructure, client relations, and hugely asset rich also. So they have been going through some bad phase along with all other banks with regard to the NPS. But now there is some feel, that NPA things are peaking out, the problems are peaking out. And you see now Federal Bank kind of stocks, it looks like they will be making record profits going forward. And the valuation now, Federal Bank is at around 10,000 crores market capitalization. South Indian Bank also should be around 3,000 crores kind of a market cap. I think there's a lot of margin of safety in this kind of banks. So if somebody feels, banking sector which has a long way to go in this country, this is a sector like old generation private banks. Some of them are getting transformed into the new generation style by operations and by technology and the way they're adopting the new things. So that is a sector investors should watch for reasonable returns.
Okay. Porinju, about time for 2 more queries. Ayesha has a very interesting query, and I'll let her take the final one. But just a quick one. Somebody is asking to check with you for Ceylon Exploration. Have you ever looked at that stock?
Yeah, I have always looked at this stock. This is one of my core portfolio holding, an underperformer in the last 2 years because of that perhaps unexpected kind of decline, the steepness of the decline, in the crude oil price. But it's a very clean company with cash, rich balance sheet, available at a throwaway price today. We continue to hold the stock. I think, they are expanding their production capabilities, and more wells are being drilled. So at this kind of I think it has got an enterprise valuation of only around 150 crores. Around 120, 130 crores cash the company is sitting on. It's a debt-free company. Of course, the management is not very transparent. So there are some issues in those regards. But it looks like, it should give some more return from these levels.
Right. Porinju, just one more question, and she's not going to forgive me if I don't take this one for you. It's from your wife. She's tweeted saying, #Ask Porinju, what would you like to have for dinner today?
Oh. Oh my God. Okay.
Okay, you can reply that to her in private, but I thought I must take her question. She diligently tweets all of Porinju's views in interviews.
Okay, so Porinju, that's a valid question, right? Litti Porinju is asking, what would you want to have for dinner tonight?
I can say perhaps, I may like some nice rice with dawat and maybe, some veggies and curd from Nilgiris. Looks interesting.
They're stock picking even in that.
Yeah, but who owns Nilgiris, Porinju? What is the name of the company?
Future consumer.
Okay, Future Consumer owns Nilgiris. Dawat is the rice brand owner. So Porinju mixes markets even there. That's very, very
With
interesting.
foods.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
Always great chatting with you, Porinju. Thanks so much for taking the time out and more importantly, addressing some of those viewer queries.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.